News with Eamon Holmes.
Wednesday morning, good morning. Breaking news to start with, and this comes out of America, Ohio. We're hearing from prison officials there. They have confirmed that Ariel Castro, he's the man responsible for holding 3 women captive in his basement for 10 years, has hung himself in his prison cell. Our reporter Claire Fallon is across this one. Just give us the background, remind us who this guy is.
Of course, Ariel Castro is the man who took the freedom of those 3 women who he kidnapped, tortured and repeatedly raped over more than a decade. But it would appear that he couldn't cope with the idea of losing freedom himself. He was discovered hanged in his cell by prison staff. They tried to give him first aid. He was also taken to hospital where medics tried to save him, but he was pronounced dead in hospital. He was, in fact, being kept away from the main prison population because his crimes were so horrific and he had such a high profile that it was considered that he may not be safe if he were kept alongside the normal prison population. So he's being kept in isolation, but clearly he wasn't safe from himself, if I can put it that way, because he was found hanged in his prison cell. Now, these crimes were horrific. It was just over a month ago when he was sentenced to life plus 1,000 years with no chance of parole. And during that sentencing hearing, we actually heard from one of his victims, Michelle Knight. She said, "I spent 11 years in hell. Now your hell is just beginning." He kept those women chained up in his house. He repeatedly raped them over the years. One of those women, Amanda Berry, actually had a daughter by her kidnapper during the time that she was held.
Okay. Claire, I want to go now to Chuck Hoven. Chuck is the editor of the Plain Press newspaper in Cleveland, and he's on the phone to all of this. Chuck, there'll be few people weeping about this, but how could it actually happen?
How could it happen? I don't know. You'd have to check with the prison officials on that, what kind of access he had to something to end his life with. I mean, that's obviously a breakdown somewhere in the prison system.
A certain irony to all of this. I mean, talking to our reporter Claire Fallon there, and, you know, just reliving the incarceration that took place with these women. And yet here is a man who actually, when faced with the same fate himself, obviously couldn't accept it.
Yeah, obviously Gina DeJesus and Amanda Berry and Michelle Knight had more perseverance under duress than their captor.
How would you describe him?
He was a school bus driver, and I mean that's one question we have here in Cleveland: how he was able to be driving children around when he had a past history of spousal abuse. And I guess the laws here have changed now, but I think at the time we found that the time when he was hired, I guess that kind of background check didn't exist. But he was, and I guess he was estranged from his family, his son and daughter, and I guess some of these young women had some kind of relationship with his children, and that's probably how he gained their confidence and kidnapped him. But I guess people, he played in a group nobody suspected
Okay.
what's going on.
Chuck Hoven, appreciate your take on things. Chuck Hoven's the editor of Plain Press newspaper in Cleveland, and you're hearing there the breaking news where prison officials have confirmed that the man you're seeing on your screen there, Ariel Castro, in the middle of the picture, the man responsible for holding 3 women captive in his basement at his home for 10 years, has hung himself in a prison cell. That's our lead story this morning. To find out what else is happening,